thoughts on my mind, I can't sleep at night, so I just keep writing. I don't need no help, I don't need opinions, so don't waste my time then. Killing the game and I gotta go ask anybody, they all heard about it. They know when the kid and he's spitting it, know when he getting it, bit and I get in my way. Got this, I like do whatever I say, cause I could go put you on blast. People been mad at me cause I don't follow them back. I'm laughing cause that is so whack. Why they all trying to act like they been bossing when really their boss has been bossing them up? Nobody ever been telling me what I would do when I keep in the cash for the shit out of luck. I want it more, now I get what I wish. Upgrading now with some pants that I whip. Making 6 figures, don't talk about it. Money ain't shit, it's about how you think. Tired of people who making excuses, then they complain about losing. Tell me about what you been doing, tell me about how you been moving. You ain't got nothing to prove then. I did it all on my own, they looking like all of my clones. I don't be following trends, fuck all the popular clothes. You faking and everyone knows. I just be keeping it real, they thinking that I have to go sign a deal, but really the people just found an appeal. I'm in my own lane and I'm steering the wheel, ayy. It's funny how it goes, funny how it goes. Working every night till the sunrise.
Welcome back. Once again, I'm excited for this episode. We got none other in Season 4, Episode 4 than the star, one of the big stars of 2020, a extremely fast rising star, and one that I've said on record saying check marks all the Chris Jones boxes.
Well, there's one box you said. It had technically have 2 middle names. That was the one you didn't like.
Yeah. Not a big fan of that. But we got none other than Alex Cardona Thompson, Mr. ACT. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm honored to be here. It's my first year.
Yeah,
Rising star.
I know a lot of people are going to be super jealous of you being here too, and I'd rather have you than them. So we're going into the Christmas holiday season, and I brought you a gift. You can keep it, do whatever you wish with it. It is extremely an important part of Chris Jones's life, and I know Fletch will know what this is. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to you, and you can keep it, as I said. Now, being a fast rising star, I like everything about your character. So to me, this is a gift. You might not know what that is. You can choose. I'll tell you at the end of the episode if you can't think of what it is, but it's very important to me. I'm looking at the cameraman. Do you know what it is? The cameraman knows what it is. So we're going to the first question.
No clue what it is. I'll figure it out as we go on.
All right, the first question. What do you think the current state of XCW is?
I'd say it's pretty good. I think all of 2020, everyone had good morale. Yeah, there was times it was kind of off. Fletch would get upset just because there's still a couple of guys like Venom who just will sit in the locker room and do nothing. And I mean, he does it for the show. Me and him do together also, if we're being honest, and then complain. But
also, hold on a second. Also, Dinner Instruction, which you can check out on their YouTube page as well. ACT taking over for Brendan Stickle. Sorry to interrupt.
Yep, you're all good. But there's like a lot of guys who have stepped up this year, me being one of them, Brogan O'Shea, Evan Phoenix, Brady Branch, and those guys stepping up with training, setting up the ring, just, stepping up, especially when like Brendan Stickle, Hazard, those guys left. We just need some of the newer guys to maybe step up, learn some different roles.
And a big thing, a while back on Facebook, I had posted something like people could ask me like my top 5 favorite things, and it's since changed because I've watched more shows since then. But like, I believe the top 5 superstars of 2020 include Brogan O'Shea, Evan Phoenix, Brady Branson, ACT, and Blackheart. I'm not including Fletch because he was my number 1, but a lot of people say I'm biased, so I won't include Fletch. Fletch is number 1 for 2020 in my opinion. But like I said, Brogan, Brady, you, Evan, Blackheart.
Solid list.
Pretty good for no veterans to be on the list besides Fletch, to be honest. So, being the youngest person currently on the roster, I do believe so. DJ Walbert no longer part of XCW. How has that had to affect like the maturity of you, like having to conduct yourself in XCW and outside of XCW? Because being New Age champion is an important role.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like coming in, they knew I was younger, and when I first started, I was the youngest superstar. We had Desmond Cross come in, but he's gone now. And so, like, some of them might have assumed, okay, he's a younger kid. The immaturity could be there. But I think they'd all agree, like, after, like, I started training, I took on a pretty big role. I'd help tear down, set up. I come to the viewings. I'll go out to dinner with the guys and, like...
Watch wrestling pay-per-views?
Yep, watch those, too. And, like, knowing they trusted to put the New Age title on me so quickly, I think that me stepping into a role with setup and all that, I think that kind of helped because it showed like I'm willing to get better, willing to take the advice from guys like Fletch, you, the Corey Lees, Brogan O'Shea's willing to take their advice, constructive criticism, and
a big thing, which is very honorable of you. A lot of times when someone gets the strap, so to speak, so quickly, it goes straight to their head. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was a douchebag in 2004, complete fucking douchebag, and Fletch put that rocket to my back anyways. I beat the icon Cynical. Like, he eventually would win the world title from me, but Cynical won the Power Title Battle Royal my first match, and I beat Cynical, beat Genocide, who was the world champion at the time. I go on to win my first Extreme King, and then I win the world title from DTC. Big things, complete douchebag. You are complete opposite. You've not had the ego. Like you said, you're here, you take down, set up, took over a Brendan Stickles show, you provide all the financial support for the show, so very commendable, my friend. What's it feel like to capture the New Age title so quickly?
It felt good because it knew, like, okay, the writing team had trust in me to capture the title and continue just to get better and not just, like you said, let the ego get to my head of having the title.
Yeah. How'd the ACT name come about?
Alright, so when I first started training, Fletch came up to me. He wanted the gimmick of, okay, I'm the scholar, I'm smarter than everyone. So he's like, okay, you can either do SAT or ACT. So the first thought was SAT, and it was going to be Sindarius Axwell Thorn, which I thought sounded pretty cool.
And Steve-O would never pronounce it correctly.
Yeah, Steve-O would probably screw that up, and it was kind of long, so it was kind of like, alright, what could go ACT? And I was a huge Zack Ryder fan in WWE.
I'm a big Zack Ryder fan.
Yep, so when he left, Matt Cardona, so it was like, okay, that could be the C part, and then the Alex and Thompson part just kind of fit with the Cardona, and I was like, you know what?
Just kind of flowed off.
Yep, kind of flowed when I was saying it, figured it flowed with everyone else.
Yeah, I'm a big Zack Ryder fan, as you know. You've seen a Chris Jones match, you've seen the repertoire of moves, and the Rough Rider is one of my favorite moves to do. Fletch is an excellent receiver of that move, by the way. Who do you think, in your opinion, is the worst wrestler of all time? I know you haven't been here too long, but I know you've seen some old tapes. You've seen some wrestlers. Who's the worst of all time?
That's hard because, like you said, I've only been here so long.
Yes.
Since I've been here, the people I've seen, obviously, I'd probably go Desmond Cross. Like, when he came in, he was one of the newer guys, so I was like, okay, it's nice to have another newer guy around, but when I watched him wrestle, it was just kind of like, okay, this isn't working at all. He's awful, and, you can ask Fletch, there's going to be a time me and him were going to go one-on-one. And when I saw it, I just immediately went up to him. I was kind of like, okay, are you sure you want to do this? Because we were two new guys. He wasn't great in the ring. I'm still kind of improving. So I was just kind of like, are you sure you're going to do this match? So I'd probably go with that.
Yeah, Matt had a lot of experience with Desmond Cross. I know the person outside XCW a little bit from appearances and made to the shows, whatever, talked to the guys and stuff. That's a first. No one said him yet. Okay, now on the flip side of that, who do you think the best wrestler of all time is?
I'd probably go, it's either you or Fletch, just because, the both of you, even, not from just, a skill set, you're able to tell stories even outside of the ring with your promo work, or if it becomes personal, you're able to tell that story of, hey, these two guys hate each other, and they might want to kill each other when they get in the ring.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that because there'll be a future episode where me and Fletch will actually discuss that specific topic. But to be able to, as you say, biggest important part of wrestling is to be able to tell that story and to talk about something so personal. And Fletch is the cameraman right now. I come to his house for Christmas, but a very good.
Basically, Fletch is every weekend, so
good choice of Fletch. He doesn't get enough credit. Are you intimidated by Fletch or any of the older vets that have been around for a long while?
I'd go with no, because like I said, their criticism, obviously they want me to get better and they want me to be a part of the roster. So I just take okay, if they're going to critique me, then I need to take that not as, oh, it's a harsh way, they don't want me. You got to take it and just use it to get better and better yourself.
All right, we're going to jump into a more personal question. It's hard to find personal things about you, but
yeah,
this will be the segue into something. what is ACT's romantic life like? Because I know you work at the zoo. Are you dating a monkey? No, I'm just kidding. What's your romantic life like?
Well, I mean, I'm currently in a relationship with a girl that I kind of like met right before I came to XCW. She's been to the show. She's helped us out with
She like wrestling?
Yep, she was shown in when me and Stickle did the whole IUPUI thing. She was actually the reason we were able to
get in there,
get into a classroom and add that into the gimmick. And like, there was a time like we went through a rough patch and I hooked up with a few of my coworkers, and you know, my boss was one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of wish it would have got me a raise, but
hanging the boss.
It didn't, and like, so that was kind of a time her brother downright hated me, and we kind of got into it a little bit. I told him all I can hear is the shit coming out of his mouth from eating his fiance's ass, and he took that personal, and like now, like whenever I go over there, he makes it known like, okay, I gotta get out of the house. He's not a big fan of me. I'm not a big fan of him.
But with as something I've learned over there is with age comes understanding and stuff like that. So before we go to our first commercial break, something I heard about. Make sure this is next on the list. Yes, I'm assuming you're happy in this relationship.
Yep.
Quite well, because the last relationship, I heard a story about you fighting your ex-girlfriend's dad, and was there a knife involved, and how happy are you in your relationship currently, based off your previous relationship?
Well, currently I'm probably the happiest I've been in a relationship, but we'll get into that. So I was dating this Michaela girl. She hates me now, might have a warrant out for my arrest, honestly. But like when I went to Huntington, I was kind of like, you know, I'm not really getting any action. I'm not going home much. So I cheated on her, and she found out. So like, her dad like put a kitchen knife to my face and said, if you ever cheat on my daughter again, I'm gonna stab you. And he did the same thing to her cousin, and her cousin's a scrawny.
Her cousin cheated on her too?
No, her cousin's boyfriend.
Okay.
And so like, he's a scrawny guy. Like he might weigh under 100, honestly. And I'm like, I'm not like him. And like, I smacked it, and he tried to throw a punch at me. So like, when I grabbed him, I grabbed the back of his head, and I like slammed it into a counter. He was bleeding. I threw a couple punches. Her 12-year-old cousin tried to break it up. I think I backhanded him. They were like both bleeding, and they all said I broke their jaw, and that kind of started a whole dispute. They tried to get an assault charge on me, but at the time I was 17.
Yeah.
So I was underage, so I was like, you know, you can't do this. And now they've wanted to fight again. They threatened Katie before, and I've told them multiple times, if you want to fight, you're not going to know your dad anymore because I'm going to kill him this time.
Oh, as we're getting deeper into this conversation, I'm finding out I don't really know ACT at all. You don't seem like the violent type at all.
I mean, there's sometimes when I can, because also a thing he said, he told me I'm going to put you to death like cancer did your grandpa. And when I did that, that's when I took it personal. I was like, you know what, I'm going to have to do something. And
all right. On that, I think I need a short break to recover from that. On that, we're going to go to our first commercial break. More when we come back.
On the next Showtime. Lori Lee, you're getting inducted into the Hall of Fame today. How do you feel about it?
How do I feel about it?
Mm-hmm.
Stop!
Flesh forgot I was even in the Hall of Fame. We had to look for it.
XCW Showtime, taking you behind the scenes of XCW's biggest events. And this time, we're taking a look at the 2021 Hall of Fame induction ceremony, featuring exclusive interviews from Corey Lee, Genocide, Tommy Merriman, and Cynical. Get the lowdown on the Hall of Fame ceremony. See it like you've never seen XCW before. Showtime, the 2021 Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Watch it soon here on XC Wrestling 1.
come find me. You'll never know.
life and character of ACT, and we left on the note of the ex-girlfriend's dad.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned like grabbing the back of the head, because the last fight that Chris Jones ever got in was at Taco Bell. I was sitting in
place.
we hung out in parking lots. We were kids. I was sitting in Fletcher's car. This guy comes in, puts me in the headlock, just mess around. I guess I had a bad day. Like you've seen me, you've talked to me. You know, I don't seem like a very violent or heated guy.
Everyone has their bad
But
days.
it just put me in like the worst move, and like he had me in a headlock. I got out of the car in a headlock. I just picked this guy up like a wrestling move, just dropped him on the concrete and mighty ducked him. When I say I mighty ducked him, if you watch Mighty Ducks, there's this Asian kid, and he pulled the dude's shirt over his head and started punching. Well, I happen to need this guy in the face, Joel Labrie, if we're going to be specific. But it's nice to find some new things about ACT that people might not know. And we're going to change gears. What's the most enjoyable thing you've had the chance to do in XCW so far?
I'd probably go with the iupui brawl, because there's been false count anywheres, but it's never been where you're going to a college campus, and I thought that was a perfect opportunity because it fit my character, it fit what we wanted the character to be, and it added an element to the fact of, okay, he can take it to the next level if he needs to, and also, it was just fun to see what we could explore with the campus, and we had a few more ideas that didn't go through. I think it would have been better if we had a ref there to attempt some, like pinfalls, like we were going to have maybe Brennan throw me in the canal. We talked about that, so it was just nice just brainstorming, seeing what we could do on the campus.
I can honestly say that is one of my favorite matches of 2020. I enjoy getting to do new things, and one of my dream matches that I'm sure I'll never get to have, and I've mentioned this to you before, is that I would love just to have an Ultimate X match. Normally I have a guest on the show. I give a chance to ask me a question or cut a promo. I know you cut a promo, so I'm not going to give you that chance to cut one.
Right.
You get the chance to ask me a question here shortly, so I want to give you a chance to think of something. We're going to do a couple more questions, then you'll get to ask me the question.
All right.
What's your opinion on drugs and alcohol in XCW?
Personally, I'm against it, because if you're bringing it to the show, you risk getting us shut down, you risk getting Fletch in trouble,
Yep.
you risk putting the show in jeopardy, because then we have to possibly, if they say get mad at Fletch, they say, hey, you can't do the show anymore, we have to then find a new location, and then that can be hard to do, especially now when COVID, it's just hard to find new locations anywhere. So I just think it's something, keep it at home. If you want to talk about it, cool, but just make sure you're keeping that stuff at home.
Yeah. Completely agree, which you can find out about in episode 1 with me and Fletch of our opinions on it. What do you think of, I know episode 1 is airing today as we shoot this. What do you think of the hints of change, the little blip on the radar that Fletch gave us about the New Age Championship, without giving too much, because we have someone here that's not watched that yet, watching behind the scenes. What do you think of the changes that Fletch told us about?
I think it's a great idea. I think for a long time they've kind of, from the fan point of view, I think they viewed the New Age title of, it's kind of just thrown under the water. But I think adding this element to it, it's going to give it something that when you win the title, okay, now you can better yourself, not just by winning the title, but there's also another way that, like we said, can't say, but anyone who checks out episode 1 can find out what that is. So I just think it's definitely an added element and something, we haven't really seen before, so I'm hoping I can get the opportunity to do that and just further.
I completely agree. I hope you are the first one to be able to utilize the new changes coming to the New Age Championship. A lot of things people might think why the New Age title is not that important is because you've had people like me where, I did wipe my ass on the championship and throw it down and stuff like that. But I believe people like Brendan Stickle, Genocide was New Age champion for a short time, kind of bringing the title back to a place of prominence. Is there any wrestlers, this is what I'm interested in, is there any wrestlers in XCW you hate or don't like very well?
Not on the current roster. There was one when I first started. It was Carnage, because one time he he told me, he's like, oh, you got to make it look for real. But and then I later found out he complained because he didn't get the spot he wanted, so I just kind of found it funny how he complained to me about not wanting something or not making it look real.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, just a few weeks later, he was like, no, I'm not going to do this. I don't get what I want now. And plus, in my opinion, I don't think we really had a use for him when he came back. He was kind of overrated in the ring. I don't think he was as good as people made him out to be. And I went back and watched some of the old stuff. I just kind of look at him. He's a wannabe Big Show. He's got the beard, the bald head, everything.
I'm intrigued. That is a first. Is there anyone you want to work with that you haven't had the chance to, or someone you want to work with again? Granted, I know you only worked with Brendan Stickle.
Well, I've worked with Stickle. I've worked
Jesse.
with
Void.
Jesse Void. Jesse wasn't really. I mean, we had our one match. I think I'd want to do something with probably either Corey Lee or Brogan O'Shea. They were both like a major part of helping me train and helping me become better. So I just think it'd be cool to like work with them so like they can see the improvement I've made in the ring, like actually being in the ring with me.
Corey Lee is a big bipartisan of someone that can overcome a low ceiling, so to speak, because obviously
same with Brogan O'Shea.
We've mentioned several times about Corey Lee. He wasn't the person that we'd picked to excel, and the other person that failed. Corey Lee is now in the XCW Hall of Fame, and Brogan, Superstar of the Year, MVP of the Viewer's Choice Awards. So I completely agree. They are two very good people to ask for advice. What was the hardest part about training when you started? As I know, I'm coming sometime this season out of the show to help work on suplexes, but what's one of the hardest things about your training when you started?
When I first started, it was just like I couldn't bump at all. Like I wasn't good at it. I wasn't able to get the legs out. So like after that first day, I kind of like questioned. I was like, is this something I really want to do? Because I just thought like, okay, I'm not going to be able to bump. And like you mentioned suplex, that's something I'm still working on. I still haven't got to that point. But yeah, it would definitely be like I just felt like at first I can't bump. And like it just looked awful. So I was like, maybe I shouldn't do this. And obviously like, I decided to continue with it. I got better, and I'm still like getting better, working.
Obviously, you're not the only ones that have problem with bumps. Genocide's been here 100 years and still has problem with bumps. What about chops? Are you a fan of chops or no chops? Have you taken chops?
I've took chops from Void, and I could definitely say I wasn't the biggest fan of them, but at the end of the day, I was the one who called for them. I gave them the idea to do them. So I wasn't a big fan of him, but it's part of wrestling. When you look at Void, he's a bigger guy. Soon bigger guy, they do some powerful chops. So I was like, okay, I probably should call for it.
I want you to do me one favor. Obviously, we'll probably never have a chance to step in the ring together, but there is a chance that you one day might wrestle Fletch. And as a veteran of many, many years, I want you to have Fletch chop you. Fletch absolutely hates chopping people, and nobody calls for it because they don't know that Fletch. A lot of people don't know Fletch can chop. So for me, I want you to have Fletch chop you for me.
All right. If we ever cross paths, I'll make
What
sure
is ACT's biggest fear? It can be wrestling related, personal life related.
I have a big fear of heights.
That's a common thing too.
I'm not like it's a main reason I've never rode on a roller coaster. I feel like once I'll get to that high point, I'll just fall off, and if you fall off a high roller coaster, you'll probably die.
I was extremely afraid the first time I rode a roller coaster. It was the Beastie at Kings Island, which no longer exists.
I've still never rode a roller coaster.
But over the years, it's gradually to where I don't care. Ultimately, 2010, a big XCW trip to Kings Island. Myself, Fletch, Cynical Hazard, significant others that we're no longer with, but Fletch is. We took a trip to Kings Island, and they have the big bungee, the big fucking bungee thing, and they have a slingshot ball. And one of the ways Cynical would always get me to fucking take another shot at parties is he would call me a pussy. He'd say, come on, pussy, just fucking do it. And I was not going to ride the slingshot ball. But he fucking, come on, bitch, I'll pay for it. I'm like, you know what, fuck it. And I did, and he paid for it. And, fuck you, Cynical. I'm not afraid of heights personally, but it's just so many different dynamics, so many things can go wrong. But heights not a common one. Genocide's afraid of heights. That's why he will never climb halfway up the hill. He'll climb halfway, but he will never go past that. How does it feel to come into XCW, your first year, have so many people singing your praises already?
It definitely feels good because it makes me know, like, okay, like I've said before, they want me on the roster. They trust me, and I think, like, a big part they've praised me for is definitely my promo work.
Yes.
I definitely say I'm one of the best people on the mic personally, right up there with guys like Fletch, Brogan O'Shea, guys like that.
All right, and now we're going to give you the chance. What is a question you would like to ask Chris Jones?
All right, so you say your dream match is the Ultimate
X.
Ultimate X. All right. Who would you book in that match based on the current superstars on the roster today, and what would you make it for? Like what title, or is it just maybe who?
This is probably one of the hardest ones. Obviously myself, because if there's an Ultimate X, whether I'm retired or not, if Fletch doesn't tell me about this and book, we might not be friends. we might not be friends after this. To be honest, I'd book myself. Corey Lee. Brogan O'Shea. One more. And I'd say either you, Evan, or Brady, specifically for your type of builds, because you got me and Corey Lee. I don't know if you're afraid of heights, so you're not going to climb up very often.
Yeah.
So I probably shouldn't book you. But you got the two people that are going to do all the crazy falls and shit. Me and Corey, and like I don't.
We see Brogan's done. He's down to do the.
So and obviously I trust, and you want a couple bigger guys, not necessarily like a Hazard or anything like that, but you want the bigger guys that's going to be able to like if I want to fall and Evan or Brogan or Brady or you catch me for a sit down power bomb or something, I know it's possible because you guys stronger upper body strength. So to be honest, that belt doesn't need to be on the line. But most of the times in that type of situation, there would be. I'd like the New Age to be on the line for the simple fact it's a branch off from the Cruiserweight title for one. And I feel like even though it was character related, Chris Jones never got to give the New Age the respect it deserves. So if you put the current people on the roster, me, Corey, Evan, Brady, or you and Brogan, I think it would be able to catapult the New Age to a very exciting time. And that was a hard question. Fletch would be another contender. Fletch can take a Mexican Destroyer, even though I've always been afraid to do it in the ring because I'm always ultimate about his protection, which I was worried about his foot when we wrestled at SummerMania. But Fletch would be another good choice. I feel, no offense to FWL or XAWA guys, but I feel like a first ever Ultimate X, something like that would be big to be all XCW guys. If there was a fourth company involved, maybe a mainstay XCW guy, maybe a JJ Kelty, maybe a Blackheart, and then maybe so-and-so from the fourth company, like for brand supremacy or something would be pretty cool too. Good question. Any match you would like to specifically have? I know you're short in your XCW tenure so far. You've had, you wrestled all over the school. You've had a match with Jesse. You've done your stuff with Boyd. Is there anything you want to have?
So far, I think it, I don't know, I think it'd maybe be cool if I was in a submission match. I mean, obviously, I was the first person to make Jesse tap out.
A submission match? Ooh. Nobody picks up the genocide.
I feel like nobody really, I feel like the submission match isn't something you really see every day, or it's not the most common match choice of people, so just something different.
A big thing, a lot of people don't like to tap out. That's the big thing. Which is, since that theory of making you look weak by tapping out has died down quite a bit over the years, but a lot of people like to tap out, and I appreciate that answer. Genocide being the king of submission, I would like to see a Genocide ACT submission match because you don't have to bump a lot in a submission match, to be honest. What are your feelings about your show, The Dinner with Destruction, as a whole, from your guest, your host, the show gimmick, the financials, everything?
I like the show idea. I think it's something different for the XCW Galaxy viewers to watch. It's different than this show. It's different than the free time interviews. And I mean, I think the guests we get, I think it's a good balance. We might try to get a newer guy one week and say a veteran. Then if we can, we'll get like a retired superstar. And I think it's good that Venom, he's able to reach out to those guys. He says he has big plans for the final episode. I don't know if that means he's just going to put himself on the show.
Smoke Buddy Jr.
moving on though, to like the financials, I feel like there's times like he'll say he'll pay for the stuff, and then it's kind of like a couple days before he's like, hey, could you cover this? Or like there was a time we were gonna do chili, and like I'm not a big fan of chili, but I'm like I'm not gonna complain.
Yeah.
And so like he brings it, and when he gets here, it's not thawed out at all. It's frozen chili. So I had to go to Wendy's and get the chili, and like I said, not a big fan of chili, so I didn't complain then. But whenever I suggest stuff, then even Fletch can come on here and say it. Venom will complain. Whether it's, I suggested we did Alfredo, he says ew. I bring the dessert we had genocide on, and it was kind of like Christmas themed, so I brought snowballs.
Yeah.
And he comes in, as soon as he sees them, complaining about how he doesn't like coconut. So I feel like he shouldn't really complain when I'm the one covering.
True.
To get the food. Next episode, I'm just going to do Alfredo, and I'm going to make a coconut cake, and we're going to have everything he doesn't like.
Alfredo, coconut cake, and something healthy to drink.
There you go. We'll make smoothies.
Before we get to the final two questions of today, so this gift I gave you, have you figured out what it is yet?
No, I still have no clue.
All right, so this gift, some singeing, but this gift is XCW mattresses from back in the day, obviously from the ground to the ring. A big, important part. I have a big piece, so I felt that with the year you had and having checkmarked all Chris Jones's boxes, I figured whether you find it significant or not, I do. So I figured I would gift you, we've bled on this, we've sweated on this, we've burned on this to get to ACT being able to wrestle in a ring today with the likes of Evan Phoenix and Brady, Corey, all that stuff. So that is what this is. It is a piece of one of our original bed mattresses that we've used throughout the years. So that is your gift, sir.
Definitely keep that, because when you guys were wrestling on mattresses, I was about 3-4 years old.
Yeah.
So
I keep the big piece, and I'm not really too superstitious, but two things. One, if I'm wrestling in XCW, I'm wearing my Will Ferrell Elf boxers. You can see that because my pants fall down a few times. Two, I carry my bed mattress piece in my red duffel bag with all my wrestling gear. So kind of superstitious on keeping everybody safe. And obviously Fletch didn't break his leg even worse, so I kept him safe at SummerMania. Winding down, what is ACT's future hopes and goals in XCW?
I mean, obviously the goal for everyone is getting to the world title picture. I'd like for the next Extreme King, maybe I can be in it a little longer than I was.
True.
This was my debut. I got my character over. I got the heat I needed to. So yeah, I did everything. Feel like I could maybe be in it longer. As most people may know, I have a brother, and Fletch can say this. He's talked about the character with me before. Go with the whole SAT thing. So if I can get him to train, I think it'd be cool if me and him could tag team. I think it'd be just like, as not like we could feud, I think it'd be similar to you and Fletch, whereas you have that element of you've known each other your whole life.
You got my fucking Christmas present, bitch.
You could bring the personal story into it. So I think those would be my main goals.
All right. I normally don't ask this question of newer people on the show, but I feel you have a good head for XCW on your shoulders. What advice, as being a new guy in XCW, what advice can you give for incoming wrestlers, refs, announcers, anybody who wants to do camera? Anything. What type of advice can you get being a new guy in XCW?
You definitely can't overlook things on your first day. Like, if you come in and say, Fletch is upset and yelling, you have to realize he's not upset at you. He's upset that there's people that are sitting in the locker room doing nothing while he's walking around trying to figure out, okay, who's going over in certain matches, what promos are we doing. He's also trying to figure out a camera schedule or who's reffing what match. So I feel like you just can't, on your first day, you can't get down on yourself immediately. You have to be willing to realize that, okay, there's a lot more than what people think that goes into running XCW.
Yes. Completely agree. Fletch has been one of the main writers by himself for years. As you can see if you watch last episode, he wrote the episode where I lost the Devil at Greed. We still don't know why. We talked about it. He gave it 2 3/4 stars. So I want to say I appreciate you coming on the show today, and hopefully we can expect big things from ACT. I about to say ACW. What the fuck? From ACT in XCW And I have high hopes for you, man. I appreciate it once again. Join us next time to where me and Fletch, we go, boom, fist to fist, where we talk about the leftover Q&As that we had from previous season. Join us next time for No False Finish.
Too many thoughts on my mind, I can't sleep at night, so I just keep writing. I don't need no help, I don't need opinions, so don't waste my time then. Killing the game and I gotta go ask anybody, they all heard about it. They know when the kid and he's spitting it, know when he get in it, bed and I get in my way. Got this, I like do whatever I say, cause I can go put you on blast. People been mad at me cause I don't follow them back. I'm laughing cause that is so whack. Why they all trying to act like they been bossing when really their boss has been bossing them up? Nobody ever been telling me what I would do when I keep in the cash, right the shit out of luck. Ayy. It's funny how it goes, funny how it goes. Talking about shit they don't even know. Why they tryna tell me about what I should do? They don't know about the shit I've been through. It ain't what it seems, it ain't what it seems. Been 4 years, I've been chasing dreams. This ain't overnight, this ain't overnight. Working every night till the sunrise.